let me not be rude. Let me introduce myself. My name is Whitney Hinch Johnson. I am a toddler and preschool parenting specialist. I'm also a homeschool mom. I've been an educator for a little over 10 years now, working in the preschool classroom, and I've also been homeschooling for about 3 years now. And so I use the things that I've learned from my preschool experiences along with my knowledge, and I help other homeschool moms with potty training, basic fundamentals, or if they just need help with creating structures and routines around their home, I also help them with those things. So that's me, and that's who I am, and that's what I do. All right, so let me tell y'all something. So typically, y'all know, if you follow me for a while, you know that I'm typically talking about schedules, routines, and create schedules and routines in your home. So I typically have a schedule and routine in my home, but lately I realized that although there are certain things that I do on a regular basis, I still needed a homeschool routine. So like, for example, like in the morning when I wake up, the kids know to brush their teeth, wash their faces or whatever, and then make their beds up. They also know what their bedtime is. They know when they finish eating to put their things away. They know those things. But there's other things that they don't realize that they need, or that I realize that they need, but I never implement it. And so I did some research and I figured out that I do need a homeschool routine. And so what I did was, once I figured out the homeschool routine that I need, I decided that I was going to share with you guys, because it's important to know that when you are homeschooling your children, you have to have a routine. Because if you don't have a routine or some type of schedule of what you're going to be doing, then you are going to be driving yourself insane. I've seen it happen myself, and I have friends of mine who are also struggling with the same thing. And we were so adamant about it because it's one of those things you feel like you got to add to your plate, but in all actuality, it helps you out so much more when you just have a schedule or a routine or something that you can fall back on, something that's more consistent. And so what I did was I went ahead and I wrote three things that you need when you are creating your homeschool schedule. All right, so I'm going to share with y'all those three things. Number one is you need to remember that when you are homeschooling, you are not doing things the same way they do it in a regular school. For me, I'm a public school kid. So we usually had like an A day, then we had a B day, right? So on A day, you got this class, this class, this class, this class. Then on B days, you got that class, that class, that class, that class. And so your classes are typically from like 8:30 to 9 or whatever it was. I don't remember the times. But typically you have some type of schedule or some type of time frame that you got to work through. But when you're homeschooling, you have to release yourself from that, because that may or may not be your testimony. That may not be how things go. If your kids wake up early in the morning, then I guess you can start your homeschool day a little bit earlier. If your kids wake up a little later in the afternoon, then you got to start your day a little later. But you basically do it based off of your children and the way that they maneuver, as opposed to believing that you got to have things structured just like they do in schools, because you don't. And so that was one of the biggest things for me, because I always try to stay with this routine and do it this way and do it this way. But you can release yourself from that. Like, if things aren't working right or they don't feel right, then we ain't got to do it today. Like, that's the beauty of homeschooling. You don't have to do it like a regular school. You don't. And so that's number one. When you're creating your homeschool routine, whatever you're doing, don't think you have to have it just like the regular schools, because you do not. Release yourself from that. All right, that's number one. Number two, when you're homeschooling mixed age groups, remember that you have to cater to both ages. And that can be the challenging thing, because like for me, I have a 2-year-old and I have a 3rd grader. And so when you think of a 2-year-old, you're just thinking like, okay, it's shapes, numbers, colors, that's it. And then I got another child over here working on astrology and coding and typing and all this other stuff. So it's like, how do I make sure that I'm hitting both? But you have to remember that when you're homeschooling every child, all of your children. And so what you want to do is you either want to create a routine of who going to learn what and what they going to learn, or what you want to do is, one of my special hacks that I do is I look online. I go to Google University and I look at the benchmark. All right, what are children that are this age typically learning, or what are they typically doing? Once I know what those children are typically doing around those ages and when they're doing it, I know that I can either choose to allow my kids to do this, this, and this, and that, or this, and that, to stay in that range, or they can tap into another age range and I can throw some of the things from another age group into those things as well. to add a little flavor. Because that's typically what I do, like, especially with my son, because depending on the subject area, he can go above to another grade level. So I'll go to another grade level for this, or do it this way or this way. But you have to have some type of benchmark to know what your child should be doing academically for that age. So that's one of the ways that I make sure that I'm teaching them both and keeping them both on track at the same time, as using that as my benchmark, and then creating activities and structured routines to stay in alignment with that. All right, so that's number 2. You have to homeschool them both, and you have to figure out a plan for homeschooling them both. Or if you have more than 2 kids, whatever, but you definitely want to make sure that you are catering to each and every child. Oh. Number 3, I had to add that in. Number 3, you have to find ways to hold yourself accountable to what you say you want. All right, so that's the big thing for me, right? Because at the beginning of each year, what I do is I write down the things or the guidelines of what I hope to accomplish by the end of the school year. And then as the school year progresses and as things go on, things come up and you may or may not get there, And then I used to feel so horrible, like, dang, I didn't do this, I didn't do that, da, da, da. But this year I tried a different approach. And what I decided to do was I was going to hold myself accountable, and not only hold myself accountable, but I know I have a talkative 8-year-old. And I know that if I tell him this is what we're going to do, da, 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 he's going to be like, Mommy, don't forget what you said, da, 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 da. And although that can be annoying, but it's going to help me stay on track. And so what we are doing now is we both, if you've been following me on Instagram for a while, you see that I have him write down the things that we are going to do each day. Not only is he writing them down every day, but I'm also writing them down every day. And so what that does is it helps us to hold each other accountable to what we say you're going to be learning for this week. So once he's written those things down, he's also checking them off as he completes them, so that he learns that, okay, when I write things down, I also have to check them off once they're completed so that I can stay on task of what I'm supposed to be doing for that day. So he writes them down, he checks them off, and then I go over to make sure that each of those activities are done. And it also helps me at the end of the week, because I can go back and I can say, okay, we've learned this, we covered that, we covered this. Maybe this time I'm going to take this lesson up a notch by doing this, or he did very good on this, let me do this. Or if he didn't do so well with this activity, here's how I'm going to change it and change it this way. So it helps both of us to stay on track, and it helps me to stay accountable to what I say I want to teach him, and as well as him being able to be responsible and accountable for the things that he needs to learn and do during his homeschool experiences. So it works out good for both of us, for real. Let's see. Oh, the other thing I want to say is when you have smaller children, another thing that you need to do to hold yourself accountable with smaller children is have your stuff pre-cut, pre-written, everything already done, okay? And I'm snapping with that because I mean it. When they are younger, their attention span is so short. When they're young, their attention span is so... I didn't even know you was on here. I'm so busy running my mouth, girl. I didn't even know you was on here. Hey, friend. So when it comes to younger children, you definitely want to make sure that you have everything pre-cut, pre-written, pre-everything. Like if you need some googly eyes, have them matching eyeballs. If you need some wings cut for a butterfly, have them butterflies' wings already cut. Because the thing about it, if you don't have those things written, you are basically putting yourself in the middle of a fire. Because their attention span is too short. They really cannot sit that long away for you to cut these butterfly wings out. They ain't waiting for you to find the matching googly eyes. Instead, they're going to find this toy over here, go fight with little Jimmy, and before you know it, you putting out a fire instead of doing your activity. So when you have younger children, make sure that you have all your dropping gems like sunflower seeds. So when you have younger children, make sure that you are definitely have your stuff all ready, because I'm telling you, it will save your life. Okay, that's the big thing. All right, so that was my 3 things. Those are the things I wanted to definitely share with you guys. If you are homeschooling or thinking about homeschooling, especially if you have different age children, you definitely want to take note of these things because they're important. And I had to learn the hard way. So hopefully you can learn from my mistakes and you can create a homeschool lesson based off of the 3 things that I've told you. And if you need support, of course, reach out to me, slide in my DMs. This video will be up for a little bit. And also, you can check me on my YouTube channel, because this video will be uploaded on my YouTube channel. The link will be in my bio. And if you're on YouTube, you can follow me on Instagram. Follow me everywhere at WBH Johnson on Instagram, okay? And that's it for me. I'll see y'all next time. Make sure y'all follow me everywhere, okay? Hey, Bobby! What up, Bobby? You late, though. I'm getting ready to get off. But anyway, just wanted to share that with y'all. Make sure you follow me everywhere. And that's it. Peace in the Middle East.